Thank you. Thank you all for having me. This is delightful. I think the world of Rotary, we've done a lot in combination, the Chamber and the Rotary, and it's been terrific over the years. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your sensitivity and interest in what's happening in the business community. To Susan's point, I grew up in a small town of Wheeling, West Virginia, right outside of Pittsburgh, where Susan grew up. My dad was a retailer, and he had a department store. And I know what it's like to be a part of the business community. I'm from a small child. That was part of our culture. I also know what it's like losing a business like that too, and it's devastating. So coming from that perspective, some of what we're hearing in our community in Brookline right now is heartbreaking. The businesses that we know and love, the reason we love living here in Brookline, these businesses are really struggling. The Chamber's doing everything we can to help. We're trying to get information out as fast as we can. As you know, information changes daily, the national and the state and the local level. From time to time, there have been loans that have been available, everything from the PPP loan to yesterday or 2 days ago, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce had a loan that they made available to people for businesses between 3 and 20 employees, and their website was crashing all day. Businesses are desperate. They're getting locked out of some of these loans. Those who qualify, some don't even qualify because of the restrictions. For example, with the PPP loan, restaurants, for example, have to keep employees on, and in some cases they can't. So it's like a chicken and egg situation. So that said, you should know, if you don't already, that the town is doing everything that they can in their power to be supportive to these businesses. It's been really heartwarming to see. Every Thursday morning, you are welcome to join the town meeting at 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Raul Fernandez, our select person, is leading those meetings with Meredith Mooney, and they have guest speakers. People can ask questions, and they really give a rundown of what's happening. They update people on what's going on. And it's been a nice, I think it's been comforting for people just to have a place to go to talk about these things. The Chamber has instituted a lot of new programs on our website now. We have a store where businesses can put their business, and then customers can go to their link and buy whatever it is they're selling, from Wild Goose Chase or Wild Opal or Fire Opal or what have you. We also feature the running list from Mutual Aid Brookline about businesses and what they're doing and how they've changed, because as you know, a lot of these businesses are open different hours. Restaurant menus are very different because they're all operating under different restrictions. We also have a link that goes directly to the town website so that people can get up-to-date information about what's happening there, because they're being terrific about keeping everything updated. That's been great. We've quickly switched from in-person events that we really enjoyed to online events that we're now learning to really like too, but they're very different. One that we have coming up on May 1st that we're very excited about is with BIG, Brookline Interactive Group. And BIG experts are going to teach people how to make videos either on their phone or with programs like Zoom. We also have 3 other events that are coming up. One called Sell Online. Some of you might know Rachel Solomon, who's worked for companies like Rue La La and other online sales companies. She knows how to get things sold online. So she's going to teach people how to get your products and your services sold online. That's going to be on May 6th. We have a panel of experts talking about juggling work, homework, and family. That's going to be on Wednesday, May 20th. And our women's event that every year we've had in the past over at the Showcase Cinema, This year we were actually planning to have it at the AC Boston. That's not going to happen. It's going to be online, so anybody can see it and dress however you want. Make way, women working in male-dominated careers, and that's going to be very exciting. That's on Thursday, May 14th at 3, and our panel for that is amazing, including, as you know, Casey Hatchett from our Brookline Police Department, and Leah Shakin from our fire department. We have Jen Glenville, who is the head of brewing for Sam Adams. We have Joyce Wong, who is an engineer at BU. We have Leah Weinberg, who's in finance, and we also have Kimberly Terry, who's from In Good Company. We might have Nika Elgardo, who's our state rep, but she's really busy right now, so I'm not quite sure if she'll be available, but we're really excited about that. Oh, and the best part, the moderator is going to be Lisa Gaschetti, who's one of the owners of Brookline Booksmith, and we have a book that's associated with the panel that people can read too. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, that sounds great.
It sounds very impressive. Debbie, can anybody participate if they're not a chamber member?
Yes, yes. Very, very rarely do we ever have any event. That goes for past events too, where it's, you know, they're closed. And we try to welcome everybody. We want people who are non-members to participate. We want to help people, all the businesses in town, and we want to include anybody who's a resident to participate in our events.
So can I ask how the loan distribution is going, and is it impacting positively here in Brookline? Have our retailers been able to take advantage of it?
So that's a really good question, Susan. I think people are trying to get the pulse of that. I know of several businesses that have tried and haven't been successful. There are a few businesses that have gotten through. I think it's really tough. So I know there's a second round of loans that's going to be made available any day now, but I'm told that the people who are already in the pipeline who haven't had their loans completed will probably be first priority. So that I don't know what that means for people who haven't been able to make any progress. I just don't know. And in terms of numbers, I have no idea at this time how many businesses in town have actually succeeded. That's a really good question. There's somebody in the chat. Oh.
I know what I put in the chat was if anyone wants to ask a question, just turn on your own microphone, please.
Can I have a take on that?
Sure, go ahead.
I can talk a little bit on that because I hear a lot from other merchants in the town, besides my own experience. First, I like to give David Gladstone a big thank you of a lot of hard work he has done on behalf of Brookline Bank in this area of getting money to businesses. He's done amazing, amazing work. But I do know that merchants that have their accounts with big banks like Bank of America, Santander, and other big banks have not been successful at all. And still waiting. I have not heard of any who have gotten anything yet from those banks. But people who have gone to community banks like Brookline Bank, TD Bank, smaller banks have been somehow successful. And that is due basically to the efforts of people like David Gladstone, who have done amazing work. I know David have called me at night at home. Early in the morning, he texted me and emailed me to ask a few questions on my applications. And he made things happen because I have 4 entities. So he made things happen on 2 of them, and 2 are waiting. But he did tell me that he follows up and keep me updated. He told me that they are approved, but they are in a pipeline. So those kind of information and acts are very helpful to business owners. And really, I need to applaud David Gladstone for his work.
Yeah, he's been terrific.
He has been, yes. Yes.
Richard?
I want to thank Elias for sharing that, because that's consistent with news reports that are suggesting that the big banks, Bank of America, Chase, the monies have gone to their huge commercial clients. So this is the importance of, thank you, Elias, for sharing that, and the role of our local banks and smaller banks that they play in our community. I don't know, Deb, if you want to weigh in on that or what your perspective is, but it's
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm hearing.
What Elias is saying is certainly consistent with the news reports and the critical analysis of what's happened in the program.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's interesting that it's pretty consistent with what we've experienced in the past in terms of certain banks being even supportive to the chamber. These local banks have really come through.
If I had a business, especially a business that required customers to walk in, I would be very concerned with 2 things. One is protecting my employees or myself as they were working, and the other is making sure that the customers are maintaining what is the new proper hygiene, I guess. Sooner or later, all of the businesses are going to be allowed to reopen, probably later. So there's this period that they're going to have to find a way to continue their existence without a whole lot of help. Because there's another $435 billion coming, but if you spread that out nationally, it's about a week per business of money. You know, it's really not going to help anyone survive. Now, if the bankers want to make working capital loans that look a little more fragile than they used to look, that might be helpful. And that might be something Gladstone and some of the other local banks can think about. And might be something that should be suggested to them. But I don't know that they'll do it.
Debbie, is there particular sectors that are harder hit than others that we could support? I mean, obviously the restaurants.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, I think these smaller businesses are really hurting. I think the restaurants are hurting. Service places are hurting because people can't be there in person anymore. I'll be the first to let you know that the chamber is hurting right now. We're cutting back. We had a meeting just before I hopped on this call, and we have to cut way back and trying to figure out ways that we can make do, because our revenue streams are drying up. So I think we're reinventing ourselves. I think all these other businesses, some of them that can reinvent themselves are. I think people are trying to be as creative as they can be. And I think some are just having a really, really hard time. Again, the service, especially service places where people have to go in person, like hair salons right now, there's nothing they can do. I think some of the gyms and the yoga places are trying to make the best of the situation by going online. Nail salons, of course, aren't doing well. some restaurants have been able to stay afloat. In fact, some restaurants are doing some interesting things just to meet the needs of people, like Allium, for example, Allium Market. They have produce now, they have dairy products, they have pantry products. They're doing whatever they can to meet the needs of the community. Some pizza places have make your own pizza kits. They're trying to be interesting and fun for kids. So, you know, I think, you know, if there's one thing that we can do, if there are ways to encourage people to, you know, support these businesses in the ways that they have established for themselves right now. So, for example, Brookline Booksmith has a new member so they can protect their employees. And the Coolidge Corner Theater, it was in the middle of a capital campaign. And I don't know what this means for that, but I do know to support the theater, they have streaming movies now that you can see from your home and sign up for that. I think, you know, if you have to buy a gift for somebody, or if you'd like to buy a gift for somebody, acknowledge them in some way. There's so many different opportunities in our town to, you know, just buy online. Just because the doors are closed and the lights are out doesn't mean they're not there anymore. They are. They're all online 24/7. So if we can all encourage our friends to shop here in Brookline, I think it'll help a great deal.
Elias, you have a question?
Is that me? You turned me
Yes.
on?
Yes.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank Debbie for really tireless work she's been doing, trying to promote the needs for the community to support the businesses of Brookline. And there is but I don't know how to say it, but there's no better times than this time to really come out and support the businesses. I do know I'm struggling, and thanks goodness I have had things in place that could help me stay now, but I know others don't, and others are suffering. Businesses are reaching out to old things that they had set up in the past, like line of credits, and that's really what's keeping them going, the lines of credits. And I agree with Steve on what he said about the loans or the check protection thing that have came. It's only in the bigger picture. It means only 1 or 2 weeks for businesses. What do we do after?
You were touching stuff.
We need to think of those businesses. We need to think that they are also doing everything they can to bring in. Like my guys now are trying to make phone calls to our customers who usually do snow tires this time of year. We'll pick up your car. We'll take it back. They're doing everything they can to do. In the few hours they have to work a day now. So yes, businesses are struggling, and would be great if the workaround could, instead of going to Amazon to buy a puzzle, go to Eureka, call them up, see how they can help you. Let's support our local businesses.
Toby, did you have a comment or question?
I was asking somebody here at the house a question. I apologize for that. I can't praise Debbie enough. Both Elias and I are on the board, and I'm telling you, so we watch her up close. She's amazing. Also, I'd like to really make sure that you know she's not from Western Pennsylvania. She's from West Virginia. That's where I'm from, too.
Morgantown.
We have many a conversation about being from West Virginia.
Debbie, I'm sure one of the biggest fixed expenses for our storefronts is rent. How are our landlords working with our businesses now to deal with this site crisis? Whoop, no mic.
Debbie, did we lose you?
Oh, sorry. There have been some landlords that have been very generous and are saying to people, if you paid my taxes for this month and forget about your rent for now, it can be excused. I've heard that. I've also heard, other stories too. I think it probably runs the gamut depending on the situation that the landlord's in. If the landlord is beholden to a bank, for example, it's going to be much more important for him to collect money. There is a moratorium on eviction, so that's good. But in terms of your question, what the landlords are doing, it varies. I don't have a good handle on numbers in terms of how many landlords are excusing people or how many landlords, are not. I really don't know. They're just, anecdotal stories throughout town.
I don't know if that landlords are not helping at all.
Jock, did you?
Well, no, some are.
Yes, I'm on.
Some are helping. There are
Go
some
ahead, Jock.
landlords that are helping.
Okay, and
Right.
Jock Brew has a question.
No, I don't.
Oh, sorry.
No.
All right, I'm going to mute your line then. And Gloria Rudish, do you have a question also? These are our telephone people, and they don't have the power to unmute themselves, so I'll ask. Hi, Gloria, do you have a question?
No, it's been interesting to me because it's an area that I don't know as much about, so I don't have a question now. I probably will later.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Gloria, how are you?
Okay, coming along. How are you? I'm glad.
Good to hear your voice.
I'm glad to be on the, I'm glad I got in on the meeting today.
Phil Sandler has a question.
Well, it's only one example, but my son has a store, and he's able to do some equipment repair. He can pick up the equipment and deliver it. His landlord has allowed him not to pay rent for a month or two, but he has to pay the real estate tax. So that's one example of a landlord who has been helpful.
Good.
That's a good story. And that's a great store, by the way. If any of you
like
great music,
store.
It's the best.
It's a great store. It really is.
Village Vinyl we're talking about.
Yeah.
Great.
I also want to let people know that there's some businesses that are emotionally hurting too, like Goddard House, for example. There are some COVID-19 patients there right now. And even before that was discovered, they were under a tremendous amount of stress, as you can imagine. There, for example, if any of you know of any disposable surgical gowns, they're looking for disposable surgical gowns. And they're also looking for musicians to play on their green so that people can hear live music. And letters of support, if you know of anybody that's willing to write a letter of support to some of their people. They're very lonely and scared. So that's happening too.
The Winnikers do play on their green from time to time. Yeah, the Winnikers are great. They're very good to the Goddard House.
Yeah, Richard?
There's an organization called Friendship Works, which I think is doing great work in outreaching to the elderly and to people in nursing homes and other locations. So that's a good source of assistance for isolated elderly in particular. Friendship Works.
So, Don, did you have a question? We need to turn on your microphone. Here you go. Okay. No, I'm not able to turn it on. You must have it off on your end, Don. Looks like he doesn't have it. He put a question into the chat. He says, we need to break up Amazon. How about tax incentives for local businesses on the municipal or state level?
I just think that local businesses, they need to level the playing field or perhaps even tilt it the other way. For years and years, large franchises and chains and have the advantage over smaller businesses. And I think for small businesses to survive, they need to at least have a level playing field, if not an advantage. And it will take a whole different mindset to give the advantage to the mom and pop businesses. I think that it's something difficult for the chamber to agree with, because they have their wealthy, deep-pocketed members who are not going to be happy with some of the results of that. They like the status quo. So it's just food for thought for everybody. I mean, that's my thought. I mean, if a local business, say at the if a landlord on a local renting to a local business paid a lower tax rate than if it was a national business, there would be an incentive to rent to a local business. As it is now, the incentive is is more to rent to a franchisee than to a local business. The landlord will pay a lower interest rate when he finances that property at the bank. It's just not fair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Great. Any other questions for Debbie? Oh, Sharon? Sharon, we're not hearing you. You want to turn on your mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No? Okay. So I'm just thinking there are 4 of us on the service projects committee, or whatever we're called. And maybe, I know you can go on the Brookline site, but maybe you could pull a few of these together and put it out. And maybe we could ask members, just like we commit to be on a committee, to do one of these. They might only want to do it one time, but I know for myself, even though I'm well-meaning, if I don't commit, I don't do it. So I might need that extra little push. So I'm thinking maybe we can get together and kind of categorize it like this is something you can do that's emotional or this or that. Thanks. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Susan, you want to wrap up?
Can't
Susan,
hear her.
Your mic is not on.
Somehow,
Yes.
hi. Somehow my video, as you can see, appears to have been frozen for the last half an hour. I have actually been moving, and I'm moving my mouth even now. I don't know why, but that's okay. Thank you, Debbie, very much, and Susan for helping arrange this, and Joyce as always for the setup. I do not have any further business that I'm aware of. We did do some check-in if somebody else recalls something. Oh yeah, by the way, I broke my leg yesterday, or something, you know, by all means, let us know.
Before
I would encourage everybody, the takeaway, support local, not Amazon when you can, and check in with the chamber. Sounds like they've got some wonderful programming, and they've got lists, and they've got links, and use them. We are here in part because of the business community in Brookline, and I know we all know that, and we all support them.
Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of
I think one of the things we can do is just that. Maybe make some flyers and pin them up around town that says support your local businesses. They need it.
That's a lovely idea.
It is.
Joyce, I'll work with you. We can put a banner up on our website too.
Okay, sounds good.